Okay.
Are my teammates ready?
This would have been
Are my opponents ready?
Yes.
My camera ready?
Yes.
My timer ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is recreational marijuana? Recreational marijuana is marijuana that you can smoke at the age of 21. There are already 11 states that have been receiving the benefits of recreational marijuana, so why can't all 50 states? My partners Zach, Ryder, and I, Kaimana, strongly support the resolution that all 50 states should legalize recreational marijuana. My first assertion is, there are no more people smoking marijuana than before, but now it is just legal. The data shows few negative effects stemming from marijuana legalization. A working paper issued by the Institute, a nonprofit libertarian think tank in 2014 found changes in Colorado's marijuana policy have minimal impact on marijuana use and the outcomes sometimes associated with use. My second assertion is the opportunity cost of prohibition for marijuana would not be worth its money. The cost of prohibition is unsustainable. The truth is, whether one likes it or not, it is fantasy and practically impossible to enforce existing marijuana laws, even on a small percentage of marijuana users. And Lori Constantino, former chief prosecutor for the state of Alaska, wrote in an editorial in Alaskan Dispatch News in October 2014, arresting and prosecuting all Alaskans who use marijuana would quadruple prison costs and require many new prisons. We should pay more attention to opportunity costs because we should use that money to better public education. My third assertion is, if we legalize recreational marijuana, it would be easier for people that have been charged with a crime for smoking marijuana to get jobs because they are no longer criminals. The actual dangers of smoking marijuana are far lower than the impact of having a lifelong criminal record for using the drug. The perpetual harm associated with smoking marijuana pales in comparison to the harm suffered by millions who have been arrested, jailed, branded criminals simply because they were caught with the drug. Ohio State University professor Michael Alexander wrote in the New York Times in May 2014, a parent of black children, I can tell you that I am far more worried about my kids going to jail and being recognized as a permanent second-class citizen than getting high. Just to let you guys know, last Wednesday the legislation took a huge step and passed a bill legalizing recreational marijuana. Thank you.
Are my judges ready? Are my opponents ready?
Yeah.
Is my timer ready? Oh, is my audience ready? The recreational use of marijuana is currently allowed in 11 states. Colorado and Washington are the first states to legalize it. If we allow it to be recreational in other states, it will have a negative impact on our health and the public's health. My partners and I strongly negate the resolution that recreational marijuana should be legalized in 50 states. So my opponent said, since it's legal, or when it gets legal, no more people will try it. However, that is untrue. In Colorado, the number of bad accidents involving marijuana rose 62% since legalization. Also in Washington State, the number of traffic deaths due to marijuana drivers doubled in the year after recreation was legalized. My first assertion is smoking marijuana can affect your mental and physical health. My reasoning is it's because when you breathe in the smoke, it is unhealthy and causes problems for key parts of your body. According to the American Lung Association, research shows that smoking marijuana causes chronic bronchitis, and can also harm more than just the lungs and respiratory system. And it can also affect the immune system and the body's ability to fight diseases. Smoking hurts the lungs' first line of defense. This causes an increased risk of lower respiratory tract infections. According to a study on lung cancer done by the Medical Research Institute of New Zealand, 79 out of 324 people that smoked cannabis got lung cancer. This means 24% of those people in that study got cancer. Would you be willing to take that risk? I wouldn't. It can also affect your brain. According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, a study found that marijuana users that started during adolescence has been associated with a loss of an average 6 or up to 8 IQ points. My second assertion is smoking marijuana can negatively affect you and the people around you. It can affect you because it causes you to change your behavior in a negative way. In Colorado, marijuana-related hospitalizations have increased an average of 30% since the year that it was legalized. The reason behind this is, according to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, marijuana significantly impairs judgment, motor coordination, and reaction times. According to Hartman RL, people involved in vehicle crashes with THC in their blood, particularly higher levels, are 3 to 7 times more likely to be responsible for the accident than drivers who have not used drugs. In Washington State and Colorado, illegal black market drugs has exploded, with organized crime groups growing large amounts of marijuana in homes and shipping it across the U.S., increasing drug access. My third assertion is it is a gateway drug. My reasoning is it can make you want to try other drugs and get addicted to other drugs. According to the Drug Policy Alliance, marijuana is the most popular and easily accessible drug in the U.S. today. People who use less accessible drugs, for example, heroin and cocaine, are likely to have first access to marijuana. According to Robert L. Dupote, who is the first director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, he said, "It should come as no surprise that the vast majority of heroin users have used marijuana not only long before they've used heroin, but while they're using heroin. They're also 3 times more likely to get addicted to other drugs. An example of this is in Washington. According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse, the opioid deaths in Washington is 14.6 deaths per 100,000 people. The national average is 6.5 deaths per 100,000 people. This means Washington has at least 2 times the national average in opioid deaths. This shows that you can get addicted to other drugs really easily. My partners and I strongly negate the resolution that recreational marijuana should be legalized in all 50 states. Thank you.
Are my opponents ready?
Yes.
Is the camera ready? The timer. My group strongly supports the resolution that all 50 states should legalize recreational marijuana. First of all, my opponent says marijuana is crime. Therefore, shown by the cannabis regulator says that ever since Washington and Colorado has legalized marijuana, there has been no noticeable rise in crime. In fact, it went down. For example, ever since Colorado opened legalized marijuana stores, crime went down 2.2% in 2014 and 2013. Also, burglaries went down. Burglaries itself went down 9.5%. Even more, Washington saw similar results. Violent crime decreased 10% since voters approved legal possession and recreational marijuana in 2012. Even the murder rates went down 13%, and burglaries dropped 6%. Finally, my opponent said that marijuana is a gateway drug. A study shown by Adi Hafe, the creator of the world's first online recovery program where people can get rid of addiction, says that people who use marijuana frequently don't really take the next step to opioid use. Some people who never used marijuana at all just took a large jump and just went straight to hard drugs. Some of the reasons that people take the next step is the place where they live, community environment, a level of parental supervision, and life experience. So my first assertion is it creates more jobs. Study shows from the Washington Post that 18,000 new jobs was created only in Colorado ever since it was legalized. Keep in mind that it was 18,000 full-time jobs. These jobs has made $2.4 billion in 2 years. For the whole U.S., there already has been 250,000 jobs created according to the 2019 research. Some experts call it the job creation machine. Some type of jobs that marijuana created where CEOs, dispensary manager, bud tender, security workers, and a bud trimmer. From all the jobs' yearly earnings averages, that's $285,200. My second assertion is the economic value. Study shown by Martina Perez and Ed Chung said that in Colorado, the first $40 million received from the excise tax on retail marijuana in fiscal year 2017 to 2018 was used for public school construction, while the remaining $27.8 million was transferred to a fund for public schools. In Washington State, marijuana sales surpassed $1 billion in 2017, and the state collected $314.8 million in excise tax revenue. The revenue was primarily used to fund Medicaid, which secured health insurance for many low-income Washington residents. Lastly, my third assertion is the teen use. Researchers at the Washington University of Medicine found that the rates of marijuana use by young people are falling despite the fact that more U.S. states are legalizing and decriminalizing marijuana use, and the number of adults using the drug has increased. Marijuana use among 8th graders in Washington state decreased following legalization in 2012 from 9.8% to 7.3% in the years 2014 to 2016. And that was according to a December 2018 report from the RAND. A study from the Centers for Disease Control found that past year marijuana use decreased by 17%, from 15.8% in 2012 to 13.1% in 2014 among U.S. kids ages 12 to 17. Colorado teens between 12 and 17 reported a nearly 12% drop in marijuana use just 2 years after adult use was legalized, according to the National Survey on Drug Use and Costs. Thank you.
Is my timer ready?
Yeah.
Is my camera ready? Is my camera ready?
Yes.
Is my opponent ready?
Yeah.
Should I just start? Okay. Hi, my name is Zane, and so again, my partners and I strongly negate the resolution that recreational marijuana should be legalized in all 50 states. So, I'm going to start off with rebuts. My opponent said that legalizing marijuana will boost our economy or increase it, but one report shows that steady decline in marijuana prices has put some cannabis firms at risk of bankruptcy, while also crippling the ability for states to generate that kind of tax revenue that they did in the very beginning. Another report finds that for every dollar Colorado earns from legal weed, the state is spending $4.50 to combat public health and safety issues. Also, according to an analysis from Washington Post, the wholesale marijuana prices are dropping at crazy rates in states that have legalized marijuana. The price has fallen by 70% over the past 4 years in Colorado, and in Oregon, marijuana is being sold for as little as $100 per pound. Sure, the concept of cheap weed is great for the buyer, but it's devastating for the market. My first assertion is the worry about teens' access to marijuana. So legislators worry about teenagers having easier access to marijuana. More teenagers are smoking marijuana in the states that have made the drug available for medical and recreational use. The teens are now starting to believe that marijuana is safe and harmless. The Institute of Social Research gathered a study from 1975 to 2018 on how easy it is for a 12th grader to obtain marijuana in school. The study shows that in 2018, 82% of 12th graders said it's actually super easy to get marijuana. And 8th, 10th, and 12th graders were asked if they'd used marijuana in the last 30 days, and about 15% of teens said yes. According to a federal sponsor report, 60% of high school students think that marijuana is safe, and 23% said they have used marijuana in the past month. This means that teens are more likely to smoke marijuana than drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. My second assertion is growing marijuana is harmful for the environment. My reasoning for this is
marijuana commercial cultivation creates river modifications, land and soil erosion, which can create a landslide, and deforestation. Also, if it is legalized, then the environmental effects will continue to increase, causing dewatering of rivers, streams, and poisoning small animals. To add to that, where indoor growing, the amount of electricity used to grow marijuana is enormous. It is about the equivalent of every home computer in every townhouse and school in the U.S. A study published by NCLS said that it is around 1 to 2% of U.S. total electricity. The electricity is used up on things like heating, intense lighting, self-watering systems like dehumidifiers and ventilation. All those systems use a great amount of electricity. Add to that, every single pound of marijuana, 1.95 metric tons of carbon dioxide is released throughout the growth of the plants. And for outdoor growing, you sometimes require pesticides and poison to keep animals away, but this can and will kill smaller animals that are a part of an important ecosystem. For example, we look at the Pacific fisher. It looks a little bigger than a weasel. A common study shown around 86% of the Pacific fisher got exposed to the poison near Sierra in Nevada, and this killed about 10% of endangered animals in the area. So in conclusion, if the law is passed, then more states will have negative environmental changes and the marijuana will be easier to access as a teen. Thank you.
Are my judges ready? Are my opponents ready? Is my timer ready? Hi, my name is Kahi. I'd like to remind you that my partners and I strongly negate the resolution that marijuana should be legalized in all 50 states. We do not want marijuana to be legalized. What is marijuana? Most of you guys probably already know. It is a green mixture of dried flowers of cannabis. It is used in many different ways, and it is also used in many different purposes. My opponent stated that legalizing recreational marijuana can create more jobs, but it doesn't. The state of Washington was one of the first states to legalize recreational marijuana. Its unemployment rate is 4.6%. In other words, around 346,000 people do not have jobs in the state of Washington because it is legal. Compared to the state of Hawaii, where it does not grant access to recreational marijuana, the unemployment rate is 2.7%. This shows that Hawaii has a lower unemployment rate than Washington. I believe that if we legalize marijuana in the United States, then our unemployment rate would rise. Today you've learned many arguments for and against the legalization of marijuana, but it all comes down to these two main points. Is marijuana dangerous? Yes. Our team's main argument states that smoking recreational marijuana can cause lung cancer. Smoking hurts the lungs' first line of defense by killing germs that help remove dust and bacteria. According to a study of lung cancer done by the Medical Research Institute of New Zealand, 79 cases out of 324 people that smoked marijuana got lung cancer. Another main argument states that legislators worry about teenagers having an easier access to recreational marijuana. More teenagers are smoking marijuana in states that have made the drug available for recreational use. Children are now starting to believe that recreational marijuana is safe and harmless. If I was a parent, this would concern me because I don't want my kid being exposed to this environment of smoking. As we have shown through our assertions, if marijuana is legalized, it will have a negative effect on a lot of people. In 2018, there were 234,000 new cases of lung cancer. Marijuana is the most commonly used illegal drug in the United States, with 37 million users in the past year. This means that 37 million people have a common chance to get lung cancer. And 240,000 emergency room visits in the United States
in bulk marijuana. Among 60% of high school students think that marijuana is safe, and 23% of them say they've used marijuana in the past month. What are the chances of this bill passing? There is a high probability of recreational marijuana being legalized across all 50 states because 11 states have already done so. This increases the chances of negative effects we've shared. Legalizing recreational marijuana has a long-term effect. Legalizing recreational marijuana has long-term effects because we will see the damages caused by it forever. It will affect society in a negative way, and it will not only affect people's physical health, but long-term and mental health. If this bill passes, it could potentially affect the population of illegal states. After hearing this information, would you want to legalize recreational marijuana in the U.S.? Thank you.
My opponent said marijuana is bad for your health, but marijuana is safer than most legalized drugs. A study shown by Matt Ferner from Huffington Post has learned that nobody has ever overdosed on marijuana. You may think that having a large amount of THC in your system will kill you, but you're wrong. Ever since marijuana has been known to mankind, not a single account of deaths from overdose has been recorded. According to a study, a marijuana smoker would have to consume 20 to 40,000 times the amount of THC in the joint to get to wasting time. Zane said that it causes harm to the environment. But how many people actually have to smoke marijuana to cause harm to the environment? People have been smoking all their life and pretty much since the beginning of mankind. And that hasn't changed the environment. So why should marijuana be legalized? Also, wanted to back up what my opponent said about the crime. Mexican cannabis farmer told their reputation. A Mexican cannabis farmer told NPR, if the U.S. continues to legalize pot, they're running us to the ground. According to the ACLU, legalization in Colorado and Washington have cost Mexican drug cartels an estimated $2.7 billion in profits. One strong assertion that my group members made is that legalizing marijuana will decrease teen youth. Again, marijuana use among 8th graders in Washington State decreased following legalization in 2012 from 9.8 to 7.3% in 2014 and 2015, according to a December 2018 report by the USMD. I think it was Zane who said that it's easier for high schoolers to get marijuana, but actually it's not. In 2015, the legal marijuana industry in Colorado has created more than 18,000 new full-time jobs. I don't know how that can do it. They're not calling or not creating any jobs. This happened over the course of not even a year. Think of the sheer magnitude of jobs that would be created if it's legalization. Colorado is not even the biggest state. But that's not the only way legalizing marijuana gives back to the community. As I've already said, many other people, such as real estate agents, lawyers, construction workers, benefit from the services they provide are greatly encouraged to start their own business. Just to give you perspective of the probability of marijuana getting legalized at the federal level, Kaimana said the legislation introduced by Representative Joe Nally, DNY, and co-sponsored by more than 50 lawmakers, passed 24 to 10 in the committee last Wednesday. The Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act of 2019, also called the MORE Act, could officially remove cannabis from the list of federally controlled substances, expunge photo marijuana convictions and arrests, and approve the allocation of resources for communities affected by the war on drugs according to those taxes. The marijuana industry in the United States could exceed $24 billion in revenue by 2025. That's in 5 years. Have any other changes in the law in the modern day generated that much money in their first 5 years? No. Again, for every dollar spent in the marijuana industry, between $2.13 and $2.40 in economic activity is generated. I don't know how that can relate to marijuana not increasing the economy. These are all very strong arguments for why recreational marijuana should be legalized in all 50 states. It will help millions of people and and greatly increase the economy nationwide. Thank you.